Good morning, everybody. So today I'll be talking about the dissertation writing process. Course overview. We will start with an introduction, step 1, step 2, and step 3. Introduction. When you get to the point of writing a dissertation, you are clearly near the end of an important stage of your educational journey. Before we get any further, let's clarify one main point. What is a dissertation? This term, dissertation, is usually used to present the final result of an independent work and research for an undergraduate program. Otherwise, for MA or PhD, postgrad, we talk about a thesis. Step 1. Writing a winning dissertation. Proposal this time. We already explained what a dissertation paper is, but what is a dissertation proposal? As the term itself suggests, this is a proposal for the final dissertation project which should persuade the committee members that you are going to commit to a valuable, interesting, and complex question. This is a shorter paper than the final dissertation, but it's equally as important because this is the point when you'll think of a significant question and you'll set up a plan for assembling information and writing the paper. The main points to pay attention to when wondering how to write a dissertation proposal are choosing the theme, question, and title. What problem is your dissertation going to deal with? Why is it a problem for the research, academic, and scientific community? Why is it important for you to find a solution? How are you going to search for the answers? How to come up with a topic for your dissertation? Now, all these questions are important for making the final commitment. Make sure to brainstorm and choose a theme that will be valuable, unique, and reasonable. You don't want to settle on a question that is too complex, which might lead you to a dead end. The question you choose should lead to a testable hypothesis that you can prove with strong arguments. Choose a field that interests you most. If you pick the topic that you are passionate about, the work will be much more interesting and enjoyable. Start as early as you can and do some preliminary research. You will find out and figure out that there is a lot of literature to support your argument. Frequent visits to the library will enable you to check out on previous dissertations by former students which might be related to what you are about to do. Do a thorough research. Numerous visits to the library would be good enough in addition to the long hours you have to spend in front of the computer screen. Your topic may not be found there. However, you should recall your secondary reading list, which probably you did not pay too much attention to in the first or second year. These references could provide you with a multitude of interesting topics, which should show or give you an idea about the path or a direction that has never been discovered before. Dissertation, your supervisor or the dissertation supervisor. Now, your supervisor will be your lifeboat during this challenging time, so your chances of greater or little success will lie on him or her. Keep an open mind and abide by your supervisor's advice and guidelines. Structure of the dissertation proposal. If you want to make the proposal convincing, its format has to be clean and easy to follow. Here are the points you should include in the proposal. Dissertation title, which of course could change as you go through cleaning and clarifying your direction as much as possible. Objectives. Now the objectives, I suggest you aim for up to 2 or 3 objectives. Do not be too extensive at this point, otherwise you may seem, or your plan may seem, as if it lacks focus and concentration. Literature. Ask your supervisor if you are expected to list some specific references in this section. If that's not the case, you'll at least need to mention the areas of study, schools of thought, and other sources of information you are going to use during the research stage. Research. This is the main section where you'll elaborate the ideas of your research question. Fifth point, which is methodology. The dissertation project can be non-empirical, that is to say library-based, or empirical if you collect data through questionnaires, interviews, or any other tools. In this section, you need to explain your epistemological positioning and the methods of collecting data. Potential outcomes. Where do you think you'll end up after all the research and analyzing? Explain the outcome you expect to come down to. Seventh point, time frame. Create a schedule or a timeline that explains how you will proceed through all stages of dissertation writing within a specific time span. List of references. You're supposed to include all the sources you have cited so far in your work. Now, the second step, conducting an effective research. The dissertation research stage has to be methodical and effective, as it is going to determine the overall development of your project. You should make sure you read and analyze relevant resources. Here are a few tips that will help you go through it. Make a timeline for the research stage. It's important to find enough resources to fully understand the topic you're focused on, but you'll have to stop reading and researching at some point. The point of the research stage is to show that you have read enough around the topic and you have understood the previous research that has been conducted, but you've also understood the limitations. Find the right places to look for sources. Okay, now the internet, we know, is a good source of information. It's a good starting place during the research stage, but you should not take everything you read on it for granted or absolutely true. Use the bibliographies of the previous readings to find useful sources. Now, you have definitely read articles, so those articles have bibliographies. The bibliographies can be a good starting point of the very first article. The bibliography of the very first article you've read is a very starting point. It's a very good starting point. Now, organize your resources. This is a very crucial step as well. You have to take notes, otherwise you'll end up seriously confused and you won't know where you located a certain important information or argument that you plan to use. The third step. Now, writing a successful dissertation. That's what we hope. That's what we really want to achieve finally. Now, you're left with the most important stage of the dissertation writing process, which is composing the actual project, which will be the final product of all your efforts. Some students, unfortunately, feel less confident as they don't really know how to write a dissertation. However, I'd like to remind you, and I would like you to remember, that you have already done a great job up to this point. So you just have to proceed. Everything is easier when you have a plan. Make an outline. The dissertation proposal is a preliminary outline for the actual dissertation. However, you still need a more detailed outline for the final project. New ideas may have come up and you will have to include them. Dissertation outline. Introduction. The introduction chapter should include the following items: a background of the problem, a statement of the issue, the purpose of the study, research question or questions, clear definitions of the terms related to the project, assumptions and expectations of the final results. What do you expect to be the final results, or what you consider the final results could be? Literature review. A literature review is a search and evaluation of the available literature in your given subject or chosen topic area. It documents the state-of-the-art research with respect to the subject or topic you are willing or you're writing about. It surveys the literature in your chosen area of study. Literature review synthesizes the information in that literature into a summary. A good literature review chapter also should critically analyze the information gathered by identifying gaps in current knowledge, by showing limitations of theories and points of view, and by formulating areas for further research and reviewing areas of controversy. For our students writing a dissertation, we expect a minimum of this. A literature review should also present the literature in an organized manner. Methodology chapter. This is part of the dissertation, or in this section of the dissertation is usually focused on the way you located the resources and the methods of implementation of the results. If you are writing a qualitative dissertation, you will expose the research questions, setting, participants, data collection, and data analysis processes. If, on the other hand, you're writing a quantitative dissertation, you will focus this chapter on the research questions and hypotheses, information about the population and sample, instrumentation, collection of data, and data analysis. Findings. In this chapter, it is actually one of the most important stages in the whole process of dissertation writing. At this point, you'll restate the research questions and you will discuss the results you found, explaining the direction they led you to. In other words, you'll answer those questions. Conclusions. In the final chapter of the dissertation, you'll summarize the study and you'll briefly present the results. You need to explain how your findings make a difference in the academic community and their implications in practice. The last section of this chapter should focus on the recommendations for further study, for future research, in which you will propose future study that will clarify the issue further. Explain why you suggest this research and what form it should take. Now, I'd like to thank you for your attention. In the next video, I'll be talking about the revising, proofreading, and editing stage.